Hi, I'm James Card. I'm the chief engineer for Smart. Smart is a tool for automated regression test execution. And today I'm going to be taking you through the process of configuring resources and describing requirements for test cases in Smart. This is kind of where the magic of Smart lies. We're going to establish a resource type, and we'll just call it something like lab system. And let's add some properties here. How about gigabytes of memory, gigabytes of storage? Go ahead and create that. Now let's create a new resource of that type. Let's call it lab system 01. And we're going to make the owner of this executive 1. Let's call it 32 gigs of RAM. And we have 250 gigabytes of storage. Now that we've added resources to our system, we need to add a test case to run. So let's go ahead and create a new one. And let's call this something like simple test. I happen to know that this executive is running on a Linux system. So I'm going to give it a bash command line. So I'm going to paste a command line in here that gives us a look at a lot of that information. Now, test requirements. So we just added these resources to the executive. And one of the properties we had was memory GB. Let's say that this particular test case needs at least 1 gig of RAM. And the other property we had was storage GB. Let's say that we need to have at least 10 gigs of RAM. And let's add just a note on what this test case is and add it to our system. So here we are. We've got simple test set up now with this command line, and we've got a simple test case as the documentation. Let's run a run for, say, 5 minutes or so. We still only have one test case, but let's give us until an end time of, say, 40 after, and add the run. And you see now that there's more than one run, so we get a contiguous look at the past history here. So let's look at the run summary. Here's our run summary. We see that everything has passed so far. Everything's nice and green. And if we go and we look at the live view now, we can look at the output of any one of these. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about searching. If we go back to our original test case, but let's look at the output from this. Let's look for the process ID, all zeros and a D. So I'm going to copy this and let's search for it now and see what we get. The search algorithm breaks this up into tokens, and there were a lot of test cases that had process ID as part of the results. But if we look at the output from the first one, you can see now that is exactly the test case that we were interested in. This is the process ID that we searched for. This is the power of search. If you want to find things that look similar, you can do that with the search feature of this tool. That is kind of an overview of setting up and running your first system. I hope you found this informative, and I'll see you in the next video. Take good care.